wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, Voss Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go. She's going to interrupt me this morning. What's up with that? She must have had more coffee than I did. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate having you for 22 years and over 2,200. No, hold on. For 60 years and 2,200 episodes, it feels like 22 years. We bring you the Chris Voss Show. All the smartest people, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, people, the great authors that share their stories and convictions and help you get through the cathartic times that they survived and the blueprints they share with us to help you survive as well. Maybe some of the things you're having in your life. So anyway, an amazing young lady on the show with us today. We're going to be talking about her insights, her life story, and her free ebook that she's giving away to people they can check out as well. The ebook is entitled Making Friends with Your Inner Critic, From Critic to Ally. My inner friend right now is saying all sorts of things that I'm too dumb to be able to read that book, which they're probably right. But we're going to be talking to her on the show about her insights in the book, and maybe I need to read the book so I can learn to shut off that voice in my head, or at least one of the 10 personality voices. We're going to be talking with Aline today. She is a channel, a mentor, a coach dedicated to helping empaths and sensitive souls navigate a fast-paced world with grace and confidence. Over 15 years studying with the Golden Hummingbird and the Universal Mastermind in shamanism and metaphysics, she channels her own journey of self-discovery and acceptance into profound healing and empowerment for others. Her pivotal moment came 8 years ago after a life-changing accident, which not only deepened her connection to nature, but also clarified her purpose in life. It was during this transformative period that she learned to view her sensitivity as strength, a perspective that now serves as a foundation for her coaching philosophy. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am doing excellent, other than, all the voices in my head. So there's that. Give us your .com, Aline, where people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, sure. So there's alinewithaline.com, which is my main website, not my Wayne website, my main website. And also, I've recently started a podcast called Accepting. So that's on YouTube, and then all the major places where you can find podcasts. I can't list them all. On my link tree, it's called The Acceptance Coach. So all of the information's there with absolutely everything, including finding my free ebook that you kindly just mentioned. And I've also got, it's a free healthy boundary checklist for empaths as well.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about what made you want to write this book. I mentioned in the bio there were some transformative things that happened in your life a few years ago that got you down this journey. Give us a flesh out on all of that.
Yeah. So what happened was 8 years ago, I had been kind of dipping my toe in and out the spiritual pool, and I would go to shamanic workshops. I was studying with my teachers, and then I'd go back to kind of what you call normal life, put the mask back on, go into a role that really didn't suit me, go into a life that wasn't really aligned with who I really am, and forgot it all. And then this year was actually the year of my 40th birthday. Mm-hmm. And as happenstance had it, I ended up organizing the workshop for my teachers because various things happened. I love the synchronicity of it all. Various things happened, so I was in a place to help. Mm-hmm. And we were in this gorgeous ceremony on the Saturday night, and we were going into ceremony and giving our intentions. And I said, my intention, because they're really strong, is to live my most authentic life. And the universe said, and my spiritual team said, really? Sure about that? That night, it was chucking it down with rain, peeing it down, and I fell on some mountain steps. We were in a gorgeous little hotel in, hi, Mimi, sorry, that's my cat's paw. That's just come up there.
Waving.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, don't forget me, mummy. So, so what happened was I was literally planted on my backside,
Oh no.
literally, metaphorically, everything completely changed. And the universe had been kind of trying to chat to me and give me little tips beforehand of what wasn't working, and I just didn't listen. And so as soon as I said, this is what I'm asking for, it's like, really? Let's go.
You want a kick in the ass? We got one for you. We're life.
Yeah.
We got plenty in inventory. We never run out.
Completely. I mean, so I bumped on my backside. So it was I literally bumped on my backside. I thought I was fine. I carried on, didn't see any bruising, went to the hospital a week later, and they misdiagnosed me.
Oh no.
Without going through the whole story, I ended up with PTSD, fibromyalgia, all this stuff on top of it. And what it forced me to do, there is a lighter side of this, was just go, actually, I've been lying to myself my whole life. Who the bloody hell am I?
Who am I?
Yeah, who
Yeah.
am I? So
There's that moment of clarity that we tend to go through in life sometimes, and sometimes it does take a crisis like this,
yeah,
where we have to
completely.
realign our identity, and go. Sometimes in a cathartic time, you've lost your identity. Divorce is an example of that. Losing a business, losing any sort of loss, and then you have to come back to that thing where reestablishing your identity, like who am I, or who am I now?
Yeah,
Who would I want to be?
completely.
Yeah.
And I had the bump, then I got fired. Then there was a will they won't they kind of relation going on, and then it was a definite they really won't. So I had everything
Wow.
all together, and that's what inspired me to write this book.
Hmm.
And that's what inspired me to start helping empaths and sensitive souls,
Hmm.
because when we go through, a traumatic or a physical trauma, I would like people to feel supported and it not to take 8 years for
Yeah.
them to get where for them to start unpeeling and realizing who they truly are, and recognizing their gifts are actually a gift. Their sensitivity is a gift. It's not a burden. So there's so much more. So the reason I wrote Making Friends with Your Inner Critic is about changing the narrative. That's why I wrote it, because when we change the narrative on things, we think about inner critic. You're this. You look awful in that. Who's that? Well, who do you think you are? Who the bloody hell are you?
Now, when you say narrative, not to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but you're clarifying that that's your ego, right? That part of your brain that kind of tends to beat you up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, thank you for asking me about that. So for example, we talk about that. So many people talk about the inner critic, and I say, well, what about if we turned it round? Because when we were cave people, and we have the limbic brain that we still have,
I still
all
live
our
in a
li-
cave.
sorry,
I still live in a cave.
awesome. It's a brilliant place to go.
It's cheap as hell, but it's drafty.
Watch out for the saber tooths.
And there's bugs too. Yeah. Well, that's usually the women I date. So anyway, dating in 2024. Jokes.
Ah, brilliant. So yeah, I have no idea about that. The whole we can go down a whole kind of relationship path if you want to, and
Yeah, that's for different. That's for different.
that's for another show.
We want to talk about you. I got enough problems. So no one wants to.
No, I mean in terms of, because the whole inner protector and the inner critic, that helps us with the relationship. So it's really developed. So actually, quite a nice seamless link you did there. It's developing the relationship with the most important person in our lives, ourselves.
Yeah.
Because once we like ourselves and we accept ourselves, shadows and all, that's when we can start getting on with things, and why we're really here. And so when I talk about changing the narrative, so the inner critic, like I said, so we have, and you're still a cave person, I get that. So we all still have the limbic brain that we had when we were running away from saber-toothed tigers and worrying, where our next meal was coming from, all that kind of thing. And if a tribe was coming after us. So our limbic brains, whenever there was any change, it just went danger, danger, danger. And we've still got those. So when there's any change in our lives, all our limbic brain is trying to do is to keep us safe. And that inner critic comes in and says, well, you sure about this? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't you rather just sit and have a cup of tea rather than go out there? Are you sure you want to go on the Chris Voss show?
It's scary. He might bite. Not sure he's had his rabies shots.
And can you see my cat as well? Bless her. So what I say is, okay, so with the survival of the fittest, the fight, flight, and freeze, all that's trying to do is keep us safe. What if our inner critic is just trying to keep us safe? Yeah. And it's the inner protector. So that's why it's just a very, it's a short little ebook. And in there, I put an exercise in there that helps you kind of feel into those 3 Fs. And I know there's 4, those 3 Fs coming up. And feeling it as like a biological chemical response and just going through it and then being like, oh, actually, yeah, I can do this. That's why I wrote it.
And you make a great point, too, that's kind of that brain's paradigm is to protect us. It's trying to remind us sometimes that, hey, don't make that stupid mistake again. Remember that mistake you made? Don't do that again. It's kind of a safety thing, but for some reason, especially if you start, getting really a speedy brain of OCD or antidepressant or depression, and you begin overthinking your thoughts, that sort of abuse becomes amplified. And a lot of times that's what drives people to suicide, is the brain is just beating them, relentlessly driving them, and just whipping at them. And the only way to finally get it to stop is some people come to the conclusion that, well, I'm just going to turn off everything and you won't have power over me anymore. But it's important because like you say, it's trying to save you from doing certain things. I mean, I learned at night being an entrepreneur that whatever task, it's bugging me in the brain at night that I can't sleep. It's like, remember in the morning, you got to fire Bob or something, whatever. That if I write it down, it'll shut up because it knows that I got a note to fire Bob because Bob's got it coming, right? We all know Bob's got it coming. And, so, that's written down. And a lot of people find that. And so, that brain kind of has a purpose, but if it gets out of control, if it becomes abusive, and it's just constantly, you're getting overwhelmed with thoughts from it, you need to sometimes get some help.
Yeah, completely. And you referencing poor Bob, by the way. I hope he's all right.
Well, Bob has it coming. He's been stealing from us for a while. So.
Okay. Well, what
Plus
goes around
ugly,
comes around.
That's what happens with ugly people. I should know. I'm ugly too. It's a joke, people. We're just doing jokes in the show.
Yeah, sorry about that. So just picking up on that, what I was going to say is one of the things I always go through with my clients as well is because when that starts kicking in and we can get those overwhelming thoughts, if we just say to ourselves in that voice, I'm safe, because ultimately all that's trying to do is keep us safe. And if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning again and there's something else going on, you could just say to yourself, do you know what, Chris? I'm safe. I've got this. Let's just go back to sleep. Everything's fine. And when we're in that kind of inner critic, I'll say inner critic instead of inner protector, we're in the sympathetic state, so we can have shoulders up around the ears. We're not breathing very well. And like you said, that can... excuse me, I live in Spain, that can, about to say paralyze, that can catalyze, that can get faster and faster and faster into something else. So and there's a process that I could take your audience through if you want me to as well. I call it the stop process, which is pretty good.
Does it take a lot of time? Because we want to tease people to reach out to you.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
We don't want to give them everything.
Okay. No, fair enough. You can have a look on my website, and it's there.
Yeah, there you go. You can get the ebook.
No, it's what I would say ultimately, though, is everybody just wants to feel safe, and just by putting our hands on our heart, this is a really good tip, just a quick one. Just place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and say to yourself, I am safe.
I'm safe. Yeah, this feels kind of calming there. What if I don't have a heart or soul? Where do you put your hand?
Well, just go to your cave and find it. It's in there somewhere.
The saber-toothed tiger ate it.
Yes.
So I'm kind of out of luck.
So that is a really nice one to do. I mean, all jokes aside, this is actually a really lovely one to do.
There you go. There you go. If you don't live in a cave, it works great.
Yeah,
And if you haven't sold your soul to the devil, like I did a long time ago for this podcast, 16 years ago, there it is. Anyway, so there you go. So we teased out the book. I think, have we teased out the podcast enough, or do we want to do more?
yeah. So one of the reasons again that I created the podcast is it's called Accepting. And the way it started in October, the end of October, and the way it's designed is each episode builds on the other. So it's like it's mini insights, energetic processes, and practical processes. So I'm kind of guiding through. It's 20 to 30 minutes or so each episode, and each one leads on from the other. So actually, it's quite nice just to dip into every week, get yourself nice and cozy in your cave, and and have some space for yourself, because often as empaths and sensitive souls, it's kind of instilled into us to serve, so we're constantly looking after everybody else and we don't take that time for ourselves. So that's why I created the Accepting podcast. And I said at the beginning, it all begins with accepting. Once we accept who we are, once we accept where we've been, once we accept how we got to where we are, then we can get on with why we're actually here. And it sounds really simple when we say it like that.
Yeah. Sounds so easy on paper.
Yeah, exactly. Everything sounds easy on paper. So it's the idea, and I don't want to sound condescending at all. It's baby steps, because you don't go and run a marathon and say, right, I'm running a marathon. Here's my training. Slap on the Vaseline. Go for a 26-mile run to start with. You go in baby steps.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm told they put Vaseline on so they don't chafe.
I think
I've never
never
run a
P. Diddy
marathon.
parties, but I'm not sure what that means. If you're watching this years from now on YouTube, it's 2024 and P. Diddy's in jail for something. Anyway, but you put on the Vaseline, and like you say, it's baby steps. To way to learn new habits, and this is probably important too, because we're going into the new year. The new way to make new habits is to take small steps and keep doing them, and make that consistent pattern, and then kind of expand that pattern as you grow, and you develop that habit, as it were.
Yeah, completely. And also, I mentioned about the synchronicity before. I love the synchronicity way this has happened, because tonight is new moon as well. So a new moon is all about intentions. So just as you've mentioned about going into new year, what I would suggest for people as well is, what's a really beautiful thing to do at this time of year is go baby steps. Don't say, right, I'm going to be a size, whatever it is, by the end of January, I'm going to do this. Just start going through. And, this is where, how you said about writing things down, journaling. What really, really helps is just popping down, so different areas in your life, intuitively, which one do you need to go with? And then write, say, 10 things down that you'd like to work on, and then go like this. And choose one. For those who are listening, I've kind of spiraled my finger and put it on the book.
There you go. That scene from The Jerk where he picks who to kill, and he picks Steve Martin. So close your eyes and just pick something. Yeah.
My cat's gone. She's had enough. Okay,
Yeah.
So so it was just because you mentioned about intentions, and I spoke about my intention when I was in the shamanic ceremony to live my most authentic life. So yeah, be gentle with your intentions.
It's true. It's true. You can't go throwing them around in people's faces. You got to be nice. One thing you do on your website that I see here is something called, and hopefully I don't butcher this, Akashic readings.
Yeah. So
Did I pronounce that right?
yeah, Akashic.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, I know
absolutely.
everything.
Yeah. So, would you like me to explain a little bit about what that is?
Please do.
Yeah. So, if you imagine it's like talking to your best friend who knows everything about you, who's absolutely got your back, and it's your spiritual team. So what I do is, with Akashic channeling sessions, what Akashic channels do is they ask to open your Akashic records. And what this is a frequency that has all your past lives, everything that's going to happen in the future, everything that's happened before, all your thoughts, all your feelings, everything in this kind of frequency. Many people say library. It's more like a frequency. It's like a frequency of absolutely everything that's happened. And so you can go into and at some point I will start teaching people how to access their own as well. You can go into your own Akashic records and receive insights. And so the way this works is I can't just say, Chris, I'm going to open your Akashic records. I need your permission. So when you have Akashic sessions with anybody or with me, you give permission, you give your name. And what happens beforehand is I'll say to you, write down all your questions. Don't tell me what they are at all. I don't want to know. And I like to not know my clients beforehand as well, so there's no bias.
Oh, really?
And so once all those questions are written down, your spiritual team is going to start working on them. And then what happens is in the session, I get a download first. And many Akashic channels have different downloads. So you can see, you can feel, you can hear, you can know. I've got all of them. But I have one when you can have them all.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Collect them. You can sell them online.
Exactly. So then what happens is it's completely immersive. So as we're going through, I'm talking about what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. And I talk quite quickly anyway. Imagine that 10 times faster, so it's all recorded. Because the download comes in for all the insights and the information, the guidance from your spiritual team to help you. And they don't give you anything that you can't handle. They don't give you anything that you're not ready for. That's really important as well. They'll never give you anything, like I said, I fell on my backside. I was obviously ready to handle that. They won't do big earthquakes if you're not ready for them, for example, in your life. So yes, that's how it works. And then once we go through, I've received the initial download, oftentimes I generally get everything that's on the list. And then we go to the questions. And it's just, so seeing and feeling. And it's a really beautiful way when people are at crossroads or when there's a big change happening, for you to just seek guidance, from someone who's really, really got your back. Because, and that's your spiritual team with Akashic channeling.
Wow. So you can download all your stuff. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. I had somebody do that to me once. They did the download, and they just found it was just videos of hot chicks eating In-N-Out burgers. I don't know what that's about. My therapist says I need to be committed, but I ran out of the room before he could capture me. So, on the run. That's why I'm in a cave.
I was just about to say, there you go, that's your cave for you.
Tied it all together on the callback joke there, ladies and gentlemen. So tell us about some of the offerings you have. I see a number of packages, too, on your website, offerings people can ask you for particular help in certain cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm giggling my head off, and one of the things that I really advocate is let's not take ourselves so seriously.
What?
And that's why, in my sessions, of course, if there's serious moments, we're not going to be laughing about that. You're held and protected and you're safe. What I really like to do is work with the imagination. So I've created a video series called Embrace Yourself. And it's a 22-day video series. And there's a half an hour video each day, and you work with an affirmation each day, and there's a lovely little meditation with that, and then you take an action. And again, that's how I was saying about before, you're just taking that half an hour for yourself. And there's play stuff in there, there's visualizations in there, there's all sorts of different things in there just to take some time for yourself. And in my sessions, I offer coaching sessions, so 1 month or 3 months or however long. And I always say as well, I do not want a client for life, because then I haven't done my job.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's great to dip back in and find out how everybody's getting on. What's massively important, though, is what I like to do is it's help sensitive souls and empaths see how fabulous they are. And that they have the ability and everything is inside to live their lives the way they want to, rather than asking for asking for validation from everybody around them. So this is what I offer in my coaching sessions. We go deep, and we go into whatever there's two ways of doing it. So we either do with an Akashic channel session that I just explained, and then we go from there, or we do it intuitively. And a lot of that is shamanic journeying. So I take people through journeys as well, and they're tailored and they're downloaded. So if we had a session, you wouldn't have the same session as Bob.
Oh, okay.
Bob would be arrested
Bob's
anyway,
gonna
so
get
he
fired
wouldn't be
anyway. He's not
exactly,
gonna pay you,
and he'd
so.
be arrested, so he wouldn't be able to turn up for a session. So it's all completely individual, and it's because one size doesn't fit all. So for me to say yes, I've got this coaching program, it's 3 months together, or 1 month together, or however long together, as we unpeel layers and we get to the root of that gorgeous diamond who people truly are, so then they can go, I've got this, and on we go.
There you go. That's how my first 10 marriages started. They said they were just going to give me a coaching session, and then next thing I know, half my stuff's gone. Anyway, marriage jokes, folks. It's a callback joke we do on the show. We count different marriages that Chris Voss has because he's never been married. So, like, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's an ongoing callback joke. So
10's a good number. That's a good number.
yeah, I
10's
use
a
10
one.
in 5 minutes. I'll use 6, and then
Okay.
people will be confused and come up to me later and be like, "How many marriages do you have?" I'm like, 0. That's the whole joke. Anyway, weird jokes we do on the Chris Voss show because that's what we do. What haven't we talked about?
We're good to be weird, good to be wacky, good to just accept yourself. So yeah.
Yeah. As long as it's the one personality that I like. So anything more we haven't talked about that we want to tease out to people that some of the offerings that you make?
Yeah, so I've mentioned the video series. I've mentioned the coaching and the accepting. I'm actually writing a book for children at the moment, and that's going to come in May. So I can't really talk about it too much. Just watch this space. And also, I'm currently, and this is also going to be available next year, I'm actually recording. It's called the Crystal Fairy Chakra Set. And I'm recording meditations at the moment that will be available probably February, March, where you can just go in again, just have some gorgeous time to yourself and work with different crystals with the chakras in the body. And you can either work with one at a time or all together. So, yeah, that's coming soon.
There you go. Now, does crystal meth count or just crystals? No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure we can pop that as the 8th chakra, really.
I'm not sure you're going to get a chakra out of when those teeth fall
Yeah, I
out.
don't think so.
So don't do that. Don't do that, kids. Anyway, so give us your final pitch out. Tell people how they can onboard with you, reach out with you, get to know you better, handshake with you, find out if they're a good fit for your service, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel it's really important to have a 15-minute expansion call. So before any coaching happens, it's really important. And I say coaching, it's a melee. It's mentoring, it's guided journeys, it's a whole melee. It's laughter as well. And I feel it's really important that we have a 15-minute session conversation to see if we're a right fit. And I will say, if we're not a right fit, there is no point, because you need the best person to be by your side and supporting you and guiding you. Yeah. I'm not going to BS you, It's there you go.
Yeah, it's good to know there's a good fit. So there's simpatico there, and unless you're a good fit, you can't help people. There's some people that they're just not ready to be helped. They're not in a good place, and they're just they need to go walk in the desert maybe a little bit more. They need to find someone who's a fit for them. So this has been really insightful. I've learned a lot of interesting things. Thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and good luck with your cave, and good luck with Bob.
Yep, I've got a couch
and
coming.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! It's right before New Year's 2024, folks. So there you go. They're going to write me in February of 2030 going, it's not New Year. They do that on YouTube. It's funny. Anyway, thank you very much for being on the show. Thanks, Ronis, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn, all those crazy places on the internet. Be sure to order up her book that you can take and find on her website as well. And it's free. A free ebook. How can you say no to that? What the hell is your people's problem already? So there you go. Making friends with your inner critic, from critic to ally. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.